if you want to get better at hiring employees and you struggle with finding the right people and you're always having turnover and you want to actually scale up your business, maybe get out of your business, not do everything in it all the time, then you need to watch this video. My name is Keith. I've scaled up a few different gyms. I franchised a gym model. So I've hired a lot of different people, and I did that all in a college town. So I had a lot of high turnover, a lot of young people. Everyone says young people don't want to work. Well, that's true for some, but just like with every generation, generalities are not the total truth. And you need to look at yourself, how you can fix it, instead of just complain about it. All right, so let's talk about the whole process of how to have team members, grow your business so that now you can actually have a business that runs by itself so you can work on the business instead of in the business. First off, about sourcing people to be team members. Oftentimes clients, at least in a gym space, is a great way to find those team members, but then also all the other standard ways that you would do it with online listings and things like that are all great. But what I have found is growing your network, talking to people is very, very important. If you maybe get a good service experience from somebody, get their number. You need to be focusing on poaching, because also too, oftentimes people that don't have a job when you hire them are people that are lazy. It's a little bit of a red flag if somebody you're looking to hire isn't currently working, because the question is, well, why are you not working, right? Whatever story they tell you, it might not be good to believe it. Anyway, those are the ways we source the team members. Now, let's talk about the interviewing process. When you're interviewing, you need to make sure you not to do all the regular time-wasting HR stuff that people always talk about. You need to ask very specific questions, ask deep, and ask for a few special things. First off is you need to ask for a professional reference of some type. And I don't care if they're 18 years old and they just graduated high school. What's a professional reference? Who is someone you've worked for, who has overseen you, that I can talk to get an idea of the type of work that you do? Because if we can't do that, then you're probably not going to do a good job, right? If there's not anybody that you've worked for or worked under in any capacity, whether it's school or actual work, that can tell us a little bit about you, then let's not move forward with it. That's the first thing. Then you ask that reference a few simple questions. What is this person good at? What areas do they have to improve? And if it was an actual work position and they don't work there anymore, or they still work there, you say, hey, if you knew everything you knew about them that you know now, would you hire them again? And if the answer is not a resounding yes, then move on. The only time I didn't listen to somebody and they said no to that question, that I would not hire them again if I knew everything I knew now, or they hesitated a little bit actually, then that was a horrible hiring decision. And within 3 months, they were garbage and I needed to get rid of them. They were not a good fit. So, I could have saved myself 3 months of trouble, which is waste of time and waste of money. Now, when you're interviewing them, also ask them about specific situations, yada, yada, yada. But most people are going to give pretty good answers. Obviously, the worst of the worst will not give good answers. So that's the way you can vet that. So you have an interview process where you ask about situational questions. What's the time that you got to take leadership? How do you react to feedback? And everything else, get an idea of the person. Those are good and helpful, but most people are pretty good at gaming those interviews. But some people aren't, so it's a good way to maybe vet some people. I've had some people fail in those interviews and be honest. Thank goodness they were honest, and I didn't hire them because of their answers. And then also, when you have a reference, then you get to leverage that in the interview of your candidate. Meaning what? You say, hey, Bob, I'm going to ask your reference, what would they say you're good at? What would they say you struggle at? And so they know that you're going to back up that question by asking someone else. You're going to get more evidence. Then when you do, right before you choose to bring them on, if you already have a team, or even if you don't, have as part of your hiring process, a lot of the best service-based industries do this, bring them on shift for a little bit. Does that mean you have unpaid labor? No, but it's just, hey, hang out here for 30 minutes, an hour. Just hang out, because, if they're serious about the position and you frame it like this, that I want to make sure that this is a good fit for you, and also as well, good fit for us as well. And that shows a certain attention to sincerity that, hey, we want to, make sure this is a mutually beneficial situation. Because I have had someone sit in on that hour or couple hours at like a front desk position or whatever type of position, and they're like, this isn't for me. This is not what I thought it was. Because also what I struggled with for so many years is I'd go through all this process, everything would look good, and then I'd bring that candidate on now for training, and their first week they quit because they didn't understand what the actual job was. And no matter how much I explained it to them, I tried to explain it better, which is helpful, until you're actually there, then you don't know if it's a good fit. And then also you get to see how they interact and react to situations firsthand during that hour or whatever it is that they're there, and get a good idea. And then you also get a read, if you have other team members, employees, to get a read on them as well. I did this with one of my most recent hires, bringing on a full-time position, and I did this exact process with him and brought him on for a night or an afternoon, a few hours, and got an eval from the rest of the team, what they thought about him, and also got a chance to get to know him better and get his buy-in, because he had some people talking to him that were saying, hey, maybe you don't want that position because it's going to entail this and this and this. And since he got a chance to actually sit in and shadow, he saw what the reality was and realized that, hey, this is the right fit for me. Maybe it wasn't the right fit for somebody else, but it is the right fit for me. Now, when we make that hiring decision, we onboard them. Now, one little quick thing. I recommend having a fast ramp-up period, meaning what? For the first 30 days, that's where they're paid the least, but they have a very clear after 30 days, their pay is going to ramp up, and then another 30 days or 90 days or 60 days, it ramps up again. So there's a steep incline on the front end, because like we all know, most people are going to whittle out, or we're going to determine that they're maybe not good team members, that we made a mistake in hiring, which happens and will happen no matter how good you are within the first couple months. And so therefore, we need to mitigate the risk or the amount of cost that we put into that person by paying them too much to start. That way we can hire someone for a little bit less, but you make it clear, hey, this is kind of a training period that is going to ramp you up. We used to use the term probationary period, not a good term, even though that's technically correct, but it's a chance to evaluate the opportunity, right? And then it gives them a clear level. Hey, you hit these metrics, then you'll perform and get paid well, right? Instead of starting people off too much and then you waste money, or starting them off too low and putting the ramp off period too far in the future. People don't think about the future very clearly. No matter how good they are, they think about, what am I getting now, or what am I getting next month or the month after that. Then when we are actually onboarding this person, we need to make sure we minimize the amount of time we actually spend with them. Sounds weird, right? But we need to make sure that we have all of our operating systems, everything else, the daily information that people need to understand to do the job, all just in essentially a document. But I like, the best way to do it is just do a video. Do a video just like this, where you're running through all of it, you're screen sharing it, you're looming it or whatever, and chunk it into more bite-sized pieces. Don't waste time beating around the bush on points. Try to solidify and simplify the points to the bare bones of what you need to know, the terms they need to know, the platforms they need to know, and the daily activities they need to know. And you go through all that, you have them watch that before they ever report to even their first shift. All right? Now, most of the time you won't get pushback of like, well, do I get paid to watch these videos or whatever, or go through this stuff? Most of the time you won't get pushback, but in case you do, whatever, go ahead and do it. Say, yeah, the videos take 30 minutes to go through, so I'll pay you for an hour, right? So you pay them $20, right? Whatever. But they have to complete that before they report to the first shift, because now they have an understanding of the base level things. They're not, and the more you do this, the better everything will be, because you don't need to waste time going over the same processes, the same platforms, the same basic stuff for every single new hire. That requires more money now, because that's your time or your manager's time, and there's more room for error. You mix up things or miss things. Now you have more processes you have to run through and everything else, and it eats time and everything else. And then also it's not as structured, meaning that if Bob came on last month and used that system, and then the next month somebody else trained him, you don't know what they got trained on or not trained on. And sure, you could have an SOP for that and a checklist for that. That's helpful. But if it's all just in one place and it's all the same information, you went through it. You know they have the information. So that allows you to therefore onboard people quickly and seamlessly the same way every time. So you minimize the amount of waste, you minimize the variety that can occur in a bad way on the onboarding process. And then along the way, helping them grow and keeping them and being a good leader, that's a subject for another video. But with these few things alone, it will dramatically revolutionize your hiring process, scale it up to the next level. Because right now, if you only have one employee or no employees and you want to bring on that first 10 or first 20, this is going to help you do that. Hire out those positions, do it so that therefore turnover isn't going to kill you, and you can just rinse and repeat and actually scale your business.